and welcome back to my channel. So today I've got something super awesome to share with you guys. I am just going to be talking a little bit about the series An Ember in the Ashes by Sabaa Tahir. There are 4 books in this series and here we go. Just to give you a little bit more information, the series An Ember in the Ashes consists of 4 books. We're looking at An Ember in the Ashes, A Torch Against the Night, A Reaper at the Gates, and A Sky Beyond the Storm. I just wanted to chat first off just a little bit about the artwork. The An Ember in the Ashes series, they had their first couple of books came out with a certain type of artwork on the cover, some of which I really found super beautiful, and then I discovered they were discontinued and they weren't continuing the series in those designs, in that particular kind of artwork. So they redid it. I know there's a bunch where you can actually see the characters on the covers and those are really beautiful, but my heart leapt out for these. So this one's got a cat and I just thought that was absolutely gorgeous, as well as a weapon. All of them have got different weapons on. This one you can see has got the horse, and here there's an eagle in the background. And this one I absolutely adored, and this is A Sky in the Storm, and this almost looks like a jaguar, but this just, the purple, the imagery, like it almost looks like it's on fire, which is just, it really spoke to me, and that's the one I picked. So the first book follows the perspective from 2 main characters. We have Laia and Elias. Elias is a student at the Blackcliff Academy, and basically at this academy they take young children from the age of 6 and they turn them into warriors by some of the most gruesome means. They teach them to really become hardcore, and they've got a hell of a big, gosh, they've got such a big growth section to go through and a lot of horrible things that they've got to do and hardships that they've got to go through in order to graduate. And when they graduate, they end up obviously moving on and they become what they call masks, which are one of the most elite soldiers in the martial empire. He doesn't want to be a mask. Well, when I say masks, they actually have to wear masks. They get given a mask that actually melds with their skin and becomes part of them. And he doesn't want to be a mask. He wants to desert. So you have his viewpoints and all the struggles he's going through and trying to figure this out. And then you have Laia, who is a young girl. She's a scholar. She was born into, well, scholars are basically like the lower class. A lot of them are turned into slaves for the marshals. And early on in the story, we find that her, she becomes on her own. Her brother gets arrested by the empire, and in order to try and save her brother, she approaches the resistance, and the resistance gets her to spy on the commandant at this academy, at this Blackcliff Academy. So reading the books this time, I ended up rereading the first and the second book so that I could read the third and the fourth one straight afterwards, all in a row. And I really found that having read the second time, I picked up little things that I missed reading the first time through. So that was a nice, fun little anecdote, little snippets that are put in so craftily and so quietly that when you read them, they just come across as beautiful prose, a beautiful little addition, like nice little thoughts here and there. But reading them a second time, I started to realize, hey, that's an interesting little clue over there. So that's a nice little thing just to keep an eye out for when you read these. So first off, we have An Ember in the Ashes. Just wanted to discuss some of my thoughts here. It's very plot driven, very fast paced. I got sucked in right from the beginning, which I absolutely loved. There were some interesting twists and turns in here. And I fell in love with the 2 main characters, Laia and Elias, and their journey. And I just, my heart was so attached to their journey and to their adventure, and to everything that they go through in the first book. It was quite absorbing. While reading this one, I really felt like I was on the journey with them. It made me cry, hold my breath, and by the end of it, I knew I was going to finish the series. So really enjoyed this one. On to the next one. One of the things I really loved about the second book, A Torch Against the Night, was how Sabaa Tahir really embeds major stories and major learning lessons into the book and into the storyline. Lessons like how family is so often chosen and not just born in, and lessons on how choosing a partner in life is not just choosing them, it's also about choosing who you are around them and the characteristics that you want to be with that person and the characteristics they bring out in you. And I loved how it just reminds us of these beautiful, strong female characters. There's also just such a wonderful message to girls about how they must trust their inner voice and not just and be equal to a man and not just hand the reins over, that they can learn to trust themselves. I really love that message in this book, and I think that's such an important one for young girls to learn. So the third book, A Reaper at the Gates, I felt was filled with sacrifices. I cried, I held my breath, I wept, my heart broke as I read this book with various different things. It was just filled with sacrifices that each of the characters had to make in order to grow into their characters and develop a little bit more. And you kind of find that as they grow, they actually delve, and the book, the storyline seems to get a little deeper and a little darker, and the characters get a little deeper and a little darker the more you go. The third book also introduced a few new characters, and we found out a little bit more about the different magics in this world and how the magic works, which was super fun, super intriguing. And we also got a bit more of a backstory into some of the more villainous characters, which was also very eye-opening, and you started to kind of feel for them and develop a bit more of a bond with them in the story as the story goes on, which was very interesting, very enlightening. Good backstory for a villain is always a must in some of these stories, isn't it? I thought this book was so beautifully executed. I loved the way they brought in some of the villainous characters, gave us a little bit more of a backstory on them. My heart just joined with them. I felt their pain. I felt everything that they went through and what made them who they ended up being in the book and in the story. And oh gosh, it really made me want to know more and see how the series ended, as if I didn't already want to know enough. The last book in the series, in my version here, actually has a little foreword at the front here from Brandon Sanderson, which I'm going to read you guys. Sabaa Tahir shows us light in darkness, hope in a world of despair, and the human spirit reaching for greatness in difficult times. This book was intense for me. Just reading through everything, gosh, if there was darkness that was reached for in the third book, it was achieved in the fourth book. It was just, these characters ended up with such, I actually don't even know how to explain it. The characters just, they evolved into something that was just incredible. The things that they went through, how they joined, friendships that were formed, and then to reach an end like that, it was just, my heart broke throughout the story. And when we got to the end, it just all came together in a beautiful, beautiful way. And I just felt this rightness in my belly. That's going to sound so funny, but I really felt this rightness in me, like this is the way it was supposed to end. This makes sense. And it just, gosh, it really does show us that there's light in the darkness, and although we all experience this kind of dark in our life, we need to accept it. We need to come to terms with it. We need to come to grips with it, and we need to use it to move on and to grow forward. The growth in these characters was just absolutely astronomical. I think Sabaa Tahir really whipped a web together and wrote a series that, will live in my heart. I will be thinking about these characters a long time from now. And I cannot tell you guys how much I love this series. And if you guys are at all interested in something like that, gosh, I cannot recommend this series enough. It was just beautifully crafted, beautifully written, beautifully executed, just stunning. So guys, that's it from me. Some beautiful books. I'll be seeing you guys again, hopefully with my next review, sort of tinkering along with what I'm going to read next, and I'll keep you guys posted. Have a good one. Bye.